Coming up on this bonus edition of Locked On Senators. I know playoffs start tomorrow. There's no hockey coming in Ottawa. So what about around the league? I've asked each one of our Locked On NHL channel hosts whose teams are going to the dance to sell you, Sens fan, on why you should root for their team over the next couple months. I'm Ross Levitan. I'll stop by throughout, but for now, let's send it over to the local experts on the biggest stories. It's the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Hey, Sens fans. Chris and Kyle here from LockedOnAvalanche. And we are here requesting, maybe in fact begging, for your support for this postseason, which might sound a little weird coming from the team that's kind of defending the Stanley Cup. And I get that. Maybe sometimes there's some other fan bases that don't want to see teams repeat. But all I can ask or tell you is forget about last year, because this Avalanche team has been through so much this year. And I'm not asking for like sympathy, but I just maybe want to like throw out some understanding. And like there's been so many injuries throughout this season that the Avalanche have had to overcome. And it's a team like this that you root for. Like their backs were against the wall for most of this season, and they came out fighting. And the worst news that we could have gotten is Gabe Landeskog is not going to be around for the entire postseason. He's missed the entire year. So this team has done what they've done without their captain. Yes, they have, some good talent, obviously. But to do what they've done without Gabe Landeskog and being down as much as they've been down, to fight back and be in the position that they're in, this is simply just a team that you root for.
And it's hard not to root for this team. It's one of the teams in the West that when they win things, they don't rub it in your face. This isn't like a Minnesota or a St. Louis when they do things. You never hear the end of it. You have Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen having career years. You're going to have a healthy Cale Makar for the playoffs. These are three players that could be in the Hall of Fame one day. Yeah. So if you don't have a team in the playoffs, you can't be faulted for cheering for guys like this. And it's inspirational to see how this organization was in the basement just a couple of years ago and where they are now. This is something Sens fans could look at for the future.
And you mentioned West. And we're a West Coast team. And I know you're not rooting for many East Coast teams, right? So you're not rooting for those big market East Coast teams. You're not rooting for the Bruins. You're not rooting for the Rangers. You're not rooting for the Maple Leafs. So we're a West Coast smaller market team. We'll take it. And did we not have some dealings not that long ago where we made a nice little deal?
Yeah, we gave you Matt Duchene.
I mean, come on. Maybe that's a sore subject. Maybe we should bring that up. But what I will say to wrap up is that last game that we played against you in the regular season, that Lars Eller goal, we're really, 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 really sorry about that.
We didn't like it either.
We don't like that. So hopefully we get your fandom, at least for the postseason. It's a fun team. They're an exciting team. And they fight super, super hard for everything that they have achieved. And that's all we can really say. So go Avs, go. And Sens, we're pulling for you for the future. I picked the Sens to go to the playoffs.
And I like Ryan Reynolds.
Hey Sens fans, this is Erica Ayala from LockedOnKraken, and here are 3 reasons you should join the Seattle Kraken bandwagon. For the first reason, this is our first time ever in the playoffs, so everything is going to be exciting. We have some of the best jerseys, the best in-arena experience for Game 3 and 4. You're not going to want to miss it. Reason number 2, Matty Beniers. Probably going to win the Calder. If he doesn't, it's a crime. He's electric, he's exciting, and has been playing top 6 minutes all season for the Seattle Kraken. And the third reason is, not only are we getting contributions from Jared McCann, Matty Beniers, and Vince Dunn on the blue line, but we have 4 lines. We are rolling 4 lines of forwards that can contribute and make an impact regardless of the situation or the opponent. So make sure you are tuned in to Locked On Kraken for my postseason coverage as we take on the Colorado Avalanche in the first round of the 2023 NHL playoffs.
Hey, Sens fans, this is Adam Danker with LockedOnLightning here to tell you why you should jump on the bandwagon with LockedOnLightning. The Lightning are coming off a little bit of a down year, but the playoffs is where heroes are made. Heroes like Braden Point coming off a 50-goal season, Nikita Kucherov another 100-point season. It also looks like Andrei Vasilevsky is back to his old winning ways. And at the same time, what better team to root for than the team that has the chance to knock out the Toronto Maple Leafs for the second straight year in the Stanley Cup playoffs? So go ahead and subscribe to the channel for free as the Tampa Bay Lightning will kick off the first round of the playoffs against the Toronto Maple Leafs next week.
Hey, Sens fans, I'm David Moore-City with Locked On Leafs, and here's why our bandwagon is per view. Yes, I know, a Leafs show trying to convince Senators fans to actually support the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs is a crazy idea. And I don't know how Ross and Pilsy got me to do this video, but here it goes. Look, we know that it's hard to root for a rival. I totally get that. But here's the thing. Canada has had a Stanley Cup drought for the longest time. We're talking decades now of not being able to see a Canadian team hoist the Stanley Cup. So why not cheer for as many of those Canadian teams to give this country the best chance at seeing a Stanley Cup return north of the border? And honestly, between the Leafs, Oilers, and Jets, who are you going to hitch your bandwagon to, really, to go as far as possible in the playoffs when you're looking at the Canadian teams? Are you going to trust Winnipeg? They've had an up and down season. The Oilers, yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl have had incredible seasons. But do you think the Oilers have the best squad to get them all to the Stanley Cup final? I think the Toronto Maple Leafs, out of all the Canadian teams, have the right stuff together. Yes, I understand it's been a while that the Leafs have actually won a playoff round, but you've seen this Leafs team many times this season. You can't tell me that you haven't seen them improve from the start of the season till now and think that they don't have a shot to go far in this year's playoffs. Okay. Just I understand it's gonna be hard to throw your support behind the Leafs. I truly understand that. It was hard when the Senators were making their runs too. But you also want to see the Canadian teams do well. It's just facts. We want to see the Canadian teams do well. So make sure you join us for more on Locked On Leafs, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast from. And we'll have you all set up throughout the Leafs playoff run. Hopefully, it's a long one. You get to enjoy the bandwagon.
Hey, Sens fans, this is John Chick with Locked On New York Rangers, and I'm here to tell you why our bandwagon is absolutely perfect for Ottawa Senators fans come playoff time. For starters, a very practical reason why you guys should all be cheering hard for the New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It wasn't too long ago that the Rangers and Senators struck a trade that sent Julien Gauthier and a conditional 2023 7th-round draft pick to Ottawa in exchange for Tyler Mott. And of course, that 7th-round pick becomes a 6th-round pick if the Rangers are able to make it past the first round of the playoffs. And as we all know, that is franchise-changing stuff right there. I mean, you go from a pick in the 7th round to a pick in the 6th round, you guys could be right on the verge of a dynasty if something like that happens. Now, obviously, I'm joking around a little bit here, but with all that said, it does help the Senators, going from a 7th-round pick to a 6th-round pick. You never know what can happen in the later rounds of the draft, whether it's the Rangers or the Senators or really any team in the NHL. It does become a little bit of a dart throw type of a situation there, but we've seen players get drafted late in drafts. We've seen guys go undrafted. They go on to have Hall of Fame careers. They go on to maybe in some cases they're not Hall of Famers, they're not even All-Stars, but they become solid contributing members to whichever team ends up drafting them. And I think it's probably a little bit easier to find that diamond in the rough in the 6th round than it is in the 7th round. So for that reason alone, you guys should definitely be rooting for the New York Rangers in the playoffs. You've also got a handful of former Senators now playing for the Rangers. You got Mika Zibanejad, you got Ben Harpur, and you've got Tyler Mott. I realized Harpur and Mott weren't really there for all that long, and obviously, the Senators would probably like to have Mika back, but you know what? They were all a member of the Senators family at one time or another, and without going through the entire league, I find it hard to believe that there's any teams in the NHL that have more former Senators on them. than the New York Rangers currently do. And on top of that, Rangers were active at the trade deadline this season. So if they win the Stanley Cup, that's going to promote a more just crazier trade deadline for years to come. And after all, who doesn't love a little insanity at the trade deadline? So let's go Rangers. That's your team for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Go Rangers.
What's up, Senators fans? This is Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils, and here's why my bandwagon is perfect for you. So with the New Jersey Devils, not only do you get a young up-and-coming team, but you get a team that's able to be so dominant on the offensive side of things. So it starts with Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes was able to finish the season with 99 points, and not only can he just create for himself and try to get his own goals, but he can create for others as well. And speaking of which, our captain, Nico Hischier, he has been an anchor on the offensive side of things. So Nico Hischier also had a career year in which he was able to finish the year with 80 points. Not only that, he was able to utilize the most out of Thomas Tatar and also Dawson Mercer. And Jesper Bratt was able to match his career high in points from last year. Then Timo Meier, he was the newly added Devil at the trade deadline. Meier, he loves to hang in front of the net. He loves to get those redirects. He loves to play aggressive. He loves to play physical. So Timo Meier, you get the full package on the offensive side of things. And quite honestly, I'm expecting for Timo Meier to have a big showing during the course of the playoffs. Now, on the defensive side of things, you get someone like Dougie Hamilton. Dougie Hamilton was able to set the franchise record for most goals by a defenseman in a single season. So that record was held by Barry Beck in the late 70s. So he was able to finish the year with 22 goals. So Dougie Hamilton is just adding that offensive spark to the Devils' blue line. And not only that, Vitek Vanacek. Vanacek has been so good in between the pipes for New Jersey Devils. He's putting up like Martin Brodeur type of numbers. So just grade A save after grade A save after grade A save, keeping the Devils in the game for the most part. And he's been shape-shifting the overall narrative of how poor the goaltending has been for New Jersey Devils dating back to last season. He was able to turn around overnight. So Vitek Vanacek was a huge addition for a Devils roster. And you might see a miraculous run by the New Jersey Devils in which they already set the NHL record for a biggest single season point turnaround with 49. So why not see them try to march their way and try to capture the Stanley Cup?
Hope you're enjoying all these sales pitches so far. We'll get right back to them. But first, a word from some of our favorite sponsors. Our next partner is a product I use literally every single day. It's Athletic Greens AG1. What is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1 that you put in water, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens that will help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of the things. Now, it costs less than $3 a day, so you're not only doing all those great things for your body, you're also investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting different supplements. It's an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, no nasty chemicals, supports better sleep and recovery, as well as mental clarity and alertedness. Now, the importance of multivitamins, tons of people are taking some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with a high quality ingredients that will absorb in your body. AG1 is a small micro habit with a big benefit. It's one thing you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, now back to the sales pitches convincing you Sens fans to become, well, a bandwagoner over the next couple months.
What's happening, Sens fans? Seth Topal, host of Locked On Wild, here to tell you why the Minnesota Wild bandwagon is the perfect spot to watch this postseason. Let's start with the obvious. Kirill Kaprizov is pretty good at hockey, right? Well, you'll get a chance to see him in full action try to help the Wild do something they have not done the last 6 times they've gone to the postseason, which is to win a postseason series. And anytime Kirill Kaprizov's on the ice, it feels like you're going to see something you've never seen before. So Kirill is the driving factor. But how about a former Senators player that could play a big role in this series? That, of course, is Philip Gustafsson, who has been sensational since coming over from Ottawa in the Cam Talbot trade. He ended up with over 20 wins this year. His first real postseason test this year. How does he handle it? My thoughts, probably pretty well. And beyond that, is there a sports team that has seen more heartbreak, or a franchise fan base that's seen more heartbreak than Minnesota fans? All sorts of postseason failures on our resumes. How about getting one that goes our way for once? You might be able to see the first time a Minnesota sports franchise has hosted a championship trophy since 1991. All that, some pretty good reasons to keep an eye on the Minnesota Wild here this postseason. And you can do that by following along with Locked On Wild, with more episodes detailing the postseason push and plenty more at Locked On Wild as well. So make sure you follow along. We'll see you then.
Hi, Sens fans. This is Dane Lewis with the Locked On Dallas Stars podcast, and I'm in a little bit of a weird spot on a hotel balcony right now, but this is important. Brandon, Ross, Locked On Sens, friends of mine, they do an incredible job with their show. You guys are in very good hands, but they asked me and a bunch of other people to come before you today and make the case for why you should be cheering for my respective team here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Senators are almost there. I mean, that's a good team. Senators were a ton of fun to watch this season, but there's another very fun team to watch, and that, of course, is the Dallas Stars. And here's a few reasons why you should be cheering for them. And I'll start with something that's been in the news a little bit recently. Both players, the Stars, or both teams rather, the Stars and the Senators, have a player who just recently scored 1,000 career NHL points. You guys had Claude Giroux recently reached that milestone, and the Dallas Stars had Joe Pavelski just cross that milestone. I believe they did it on the same night, and that's pretty darn special. If you ask me, Joe Pavelski is one of the most likable guys in this league. He has yet to win a Stanley Cup. So I feel like that's reason number one right there. You want to see Joe Pavelski succeed. He's very similar to Claude Giroux in that regard. The Stars also have one of the most likable and one of the best goaltenders in the NHL right now, in Jake Ottinger, having an outstanding season. Just shut out the St. Louis Blues on Thursday night in the regular season finale. He's gearing up for another great playoff run. I'm sure you guys are familiar with what he did to the Calgary Flames last year, almost stealing that series as the wild card team for the Stars. And the Stars are also loaded with plenty of young talent, just like the Senators. Jason Robertson, Wyatt Johnston, Rope Hintz, Miro Heiskanen. It's a fun team. And I know the Eastern Conference is an absolute monster. It's going to be hard to get through once, if the Stars make it to the Cup final. But I know that there's a good chance that the Stars, if they make it, could be matching up against a division rival of yours. And so if you want to see an Atlantic team suffer, you want to see an Atlantic team's fan base suffer a little bit, cheer on the Dallas Stars, whether that be the Boston Bruins, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I would say the Maple Leafs, but let's be honest. We know they're not making it to the Cup final. We both know that. We all know that. But I'll go ahead and throw them in there. Sure, why not? But that's my case being made. I really can't tell you what to do, but the Stars, in my eyes, a pretty dang fun team. They've got a lot of good guys to cheer for, a lot of good guys to root for. And so I hope you can join us. If you're interested in finding more information on the Dallas Stars, just search Locked On Stars on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast at. We're free and available no matter where you want to listen or watch, just like your guys at Locked On Sens.
Hey, Sens fans, I'm Eddie Garcia with Locked On LA Kings, and here's why the Kings bandwagon is perfect for you. First off, you should know that I and my fellow Kings fans were on the Senators bandwagon unlike any other team years ago. It's true. 2007, I promise you that I and my fellow Kings fans were rooting for you against those ridiculous, awful, disgusting Anaheim Ducks in the Stanley Cup final. Now, we might not have been as disappointed as you with the result, but believe me, We were not happy. Least you can do is return the favor these many years later. Plus, we decided not to make a trade for Jacob Chikrin so you guys could have him. It's pretty generous, I think. And don't forget, we did draft Quentin Byfield so you guys could have Tim Stützle. I kind of feel like you owe us one, to be honest with you. And while you may not think that the city of Ottawa and the city of Los Angeles have many things in common, consider this. Your next owner is a Hollywood star. I mean, who doesn't want to see Deadpool owning the Sens? That would be awesome. Not to mention that rooting for the Kings is a lot like rooting for the Sens. Go Kings go, go Sens go. You just have to change one word. It's super convenient. The choice is clear. Sens fans, join the LA Kings on our trip to the Stanley Cup final. And join us on Locked On LA Kings, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey Sens fans, this is Brett Holden from Locked On Oilers, and this is why you should join the Edmonton Oilers bandwagon heading into the NHL playoffs. Listen, we all know about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and na. I understand you're getting tired about hearing about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. That's understandable, but you don't hear more about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman, who both of them have had career years, and yes, Zach Hyman has done it all away from the Toronto Maple Leafs. What is better than being better at hockey than not being with the Toronto Maple Leafs? And that is what, Zach Hyman has done. But it's not only the offense that has been fantastic for the Edmonton Oilers. Ever since the NHL trade deadline, the Edmonton Oilers has become not only the best offensive team in the NHL, but one of the better defensive teams in the National Hockey League as well. Matthias Ekholm was added to this back end for the Edmonton Oilers, and it has not only made the Oilers defense better, it has made Evan Bouchard better. It has made Darnell Nurse better and Cody Ceci as well. They're not playing as many minutes as they are used to as well, and that has made the Edmonton Oilers a better team in general. With all that said, the Edmonton Oilers have also added Vincent Desharnais since the start of the year. He joined the Edmonton Oilers on January 10th, all the way back at the start of 2023, and ever since then, he has been one of the most exciting players to watch, not offensively, not with the puck, not genuinely, not even close to the puck. But if you watch him play in front of his own net and against the opposition, he is one of the most difficult players to play against in the offensive zone, as he makes the Edmonton Oilers that much better in the defensive end. And we haven't even talked about the goaltending. Stuart Skinner should win the Calder Trophy this year in the NHL, and he is very reminiscent of one former Edmonton area goaltender, Cam Ward, who won the Stanley Cup not only against the Edmonton Oilers in 2006, but also won this Conn Smythe Trophy as well. So, if you're going to jump on the Edmonton Oilers bandwagon, everyone talks about Connor McDavid, everyone talks about Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. You can continue on with all the different players, but why don't you join the Edmonton Oilers bandwagon because of not only Matthias Ekholm, or Evan Bouchard, or Darnell Nurse, but how about that young goaltender in net for the Oilers in Stuart Skinner? Thank you so much for all of you Sens fans for joining us on the bandwagon, as you should, because the Edmonton Oilers are going to be your 2022-2023 Stanley Cup champions. All the best to you in the Bedard race, or wherever we want to meet next. Ross is one of the best in the world. Thank you so much, and stay safe.
Hope you're still enjoying our bandwagon preview for the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The playoffs are here, and it's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers in the States get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained and shots on goal as well. Plus, you can have same game parlays. You can combine your bets for a bigger chance at a bigger payout. Do it responsibly, play at your own pace, and do it at FanDuel. Don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA and the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, here are more pitches for you to become a bandwagon fan over the next few months.
Hey, Senators fans, Gil Martin of Locked On Islanders here, and here's why our bandwagon is perfect for you. First of all, the New York Islanders are an underdog. They are one of the wild card teams in the Eastern Conference, and look, everybody loves an underdog. It'd be a great story if the Islanders went on a long playoff run. And I guess the second reason is the Islanders are a team. They are not a team made up of superstars or flashy players. They're more of a blue-collar unit that really plays hockey the right way. They're sound defensively. They get outstanding goaltending in Ilya Sorokin. And some of the stars they do have, well, they certainly are, worthy of your attention. Bo Horvat, somebody who never had a lot of team success in Vancouver, but was a captain and a leader. Matthew Barzal, one of the few players who is a little bit flashy on the Islanders and can really move the puck. He's healthy again and will at least give it a go in game one. And then, of course, you have Ilya Sorokin, who's one of the better goalies in the league and just keeps the team in games. This is a team that's easy to root for. They play the game the right way, and they are primarily a team rather than a group of superstars. So join us for more on Locked On Islanders. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks for your consideration, Senators fans.
Hey, what's up, Sens fans? This is Chris Golick with Locked On Vegas Golden Knights, and here's why our bandwagon is perfect for you. Let's start with Mark Stone. Mark Stone had a brilliant career with the Ottawa Senators. You all watched him grow. He did not leave with any bad blood when he came to the Vegas Golden Knights. So if for not for any reason, let's all support Mark Stone together. Secondly, the Vegas Golden Knights are the villain. No one outside of Nevada and Las Vegas wants to see the Golden Knights succeed. We need some help from our friends up north in Ottawa. So hopefully together we can root the Golden Knights on victory and a long Stanley Cup run that hopefully ends in a parade with Captain Mark Stone carrying Lord Stanley's Cup up and down Las Vegas Boulevard. Join us for more Locked On Vegas Golden Knights on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. I'm Chris Golick. Have a great day, everybody.
What is up, Senators fans? This is Ian McLaren of Locked On Boston Bruins, and here's why the black and gold bandwagon is perfect for you. First of all, if the Bruins win the Stanley Cup, then Senators fans can say that they were one of only two teams to have beaten the Senators twice this past season. The first being the Florida Panthers, who Boston will hopefully dispose of in the opening round. And then, of course, there was the Wild game, home opener for the Senators back in October, and a game in December that I was in attendance for, where the Senators won in a shootout. Now, there's also the fact that many fans choose to root for veteran players who have been around for quite some time, but who have not yet won the Stanley Cup. The Boston Bruins have a guy in Nick Foligno, who was an original Ottawa Senators draft pick, who falls under that category. He is one of the best guys around the league. Off the ice, certainly, he's become a great leader for the Boston Bruins, had a tough first season in black and gold, but has been an integral part of their success this season. He should be back and healthy for round one, and you could not root for a better guy. And as a bonus, if he wins, Stanley Cup will be in Sudbury, Ontario with him and Tyler Bertuzzi, so you can make the quick drive up there. Not so quick, but you know what I mean. And check out the festivities there. So those are two big reasons why you should root for the Boston Bruins. And you can join me on Locked On Bruins for more throughout the playoff run, available on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts.
What is up, Ottawa Senators fans? This is Armando Velez from the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, here to tell you why you should cheer for the Florida Panthers in the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs. And even though these two are in the same division, and these are two teams that are going to be battling it out for years, with the trajectory that the Ottawa Senators are on and the Florida Panthers being a consistent playoff contender for the 4 straight years, it's very simple for why it should be that. It should be the Florida Panthers. And it is a relationship, a brother to brother relationship. Brady Tkachuk's brother, Matthew, being part of the Florida Panthers. This is his first season here and over 100 points for Matthew. And why would you cheer against your brother to begin with? Wouldn't you want that person in your family to have success? I know Brady would want that for Matthew, even though he won't be in the stands this time around during the Stanley Cup playoffs. So join us more on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast.
All right, Sens fans, so there you have it. There are some pitches for you. A couple people didn't get back to me, so I mean that just means they're automatically out of the race to be a bandwagon fan. But let us know in the comments, what would you like to see the Stanley Cup final be? Who are you cheering for to win? And which hashtag Sens abroad do you most want to see lift the cup over their head? We'll be back tomorrow on Locked On Senators. Mark Mathot will join us to break down Pierre Dorian's end of season press conference. It's set for 10 a.m. tomorrow, so we'll get recording at 11. Have that for you around 1 p.m. wherever you download your podcast and on YouTube. In the meantime, you can follow Locked On Senators on Twitter at Sens Central and on Instagram, LockedOn.Senators. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.